I'm the author of Plutonium, a rapid application development toolkit built on top of Rails. It's completely open source and you can find it on GitHub now. It's still in pre-alpha, so use with caution. We're going to start off with a brand new Rails application set up with Tailwind and ESBuild. Then we include the Plutonium gem, after which we would actually run the installation. So Rails G. That requires us to run the Rails generator for Plutonium, which is Rails G Plu core install. Once that's installed, it sets up a bunch of classes that allow us to leverage indirection so that we can have features within our app while still leveraging the core library. For most applications, we need authentication. So what we're going to do is use the bundled generators to install Rodauth using Rodauth Rails. This will do the installation of the gem and initial configuration for us. Alright, now that that's been set up, we want to create our first Rodauth account, which would be user. Now that the user is set up, let's migrate the DB to set up our database. The Rodauth user has been set up with default configurations for most common users: login, logout, create account, verify, change password, etc. You can still customize Rodauth to match your needs and make it more suitable. So here we say add Rodauth user. So now that that's been created, we are going to create a module or a package, which is basically a Rails engine to hold our logic. Rails generate Plutonium package feature, and we're going to call it blogging since we want to build a blog. This just allows us to isolate resources into different modules. Helping us modularize our majestic monolith. So add blogging feature. Then we're going to generate our resource. Our resource is a blog, so Plutonium res scaffold. And then we're going to say blog, which belongs to a user. And it has a slug, which is a string. It has a title string, content of text, and then it has a state of type string. Plutonium asks us where we want to install this, and we want to put it inside of the blogging application. Comes with a controller, the model module, the model itself. By default, everything is required, so we have presence validations. It comes with a policy for authorization, a presenter for customization, queries for defining scopes, filters, search, etc., and the migration. All of these come with non-nullability by default. Whilst we have this, we still cannot show it in the app. So what we need to do is to generate what we call an application package. So with Rails G Plutonium package app, which we're going to call dashboard, and the dashboard is what we are going to be exposing to our users. the feature packages do not have routing, but they do have migration. So it detects that we have a user created and it asks if we want to authenticate, and if we say yes, then it creates that for us. If we look inside of the routes of the engine, we notice that it's been mounted and it adds a constraint for authenticating with the user before routing us to dashboard. And one thing we would want to do too is to modify our row.config so that it redirects to dashboard after and here we have that. So these will handle the redirects for us after we sign up or sign in. So add app, add dashboard, add the dashboard app. All right. So if we run Rails routes, we will notice that we don't really have much yet, but we're about to make things look alive. So here we look at our engine and there's really nothing. So what we're going to do next is do a resource connection, and it's going to ask us which feature we want to get it from. So here we say we want from blogging, and we have the blog. So we select the blog, we want to connect it to the dashboard app. So now if we run Rails routes, we can see that a new set of routes have been generated for the engine that point to blogging. So let's start Rails. All right, refresh our localhost, go to dashboard. Voila, it requires us to log in. Unfortunately, we don't have dark mode themes for Rodot yet, so if you're a front-end developer and you want to help us, please do. I'm just going to say email at domain.com, and that's been created. We come onto our dashboard, we have access to our blogs. We can create a new blog, select the user, a slug, and a state. Let's go with drafts. Save and view details, we have it here. We can destroy. Before that, we can edit, and we can destroy. Okay, that's cool and all, but that's not really great. Well, when we're creating a blog, it asks us to select the user, and we don't want that. So let's go to our dashboard engine and then scope this. So scope to entity user using the strategy parent user. Out of the box, Plutonium supports row level multi-tenancy, and since it detects that there's a user in there, then it automatically removes that and allows you to do this. But we don't want to be displaying the slug, and we want to set a default state. So let's go to our blog, and here we're gonna put a few things. So before validation, we're gonna do a couple of things, which is we're gonna set the slug equals title parameterize if title is present, and we don't want to set this all the time, so just once. And we do the same thing for state. If the state is not set, we set it to draft. All right, we're going to add an inclusion validation here, and then we're going to say in draft and published. Awesome. So now we still have the slug showing. We do not want that. So let's go into our blog policy, and for create, we don't want to show the slug anymore. Once we get rid of that, that will be fine. Let's test it. My second post says getting better. And then state, we're gonna test with some random errors. Okay, so let's say draft. But what if we do not want to have this free, because we already have an inclusion state? So let's go to our blog presenter and then say define field input. For state, we're going to say collection and then put that there. Try to save this time. Oh, it actually worked. So if we come back this time, or we try to create, it now gives us a drop down. We can also see that the blog post name is here, but we don't really like showing the IDs here. So instead of just leaving it like that, we can come back and say path parameter slug, and then alright, once we open it, now it changes to use that. Alright, we also don't want to show the slug here, and on the index we don't want to show the content. So we go back to our blog policy, we do the same thing and say for index we do not want to show content, and then for all we do not want to show slug. Alright, so slug is no longer shown, and once we come into blocks we see these two. Awesome stuff. Let's create a couple more blocks. Let's get rid of state from creation so that we don't have to do that all the time, and we can say yeah. Okay, let's add one more, and then let's say Acme Inc. So great company. Awesome. So now we have our blogs, second post, first post, third post. What if we wanted to make this list searchable? Let's go into our blog query, and then we define a search, and for defining a search we pass it a lambda that takes a scope and a search param, and then what it says is scope.where, and says the content is like, and we say the search param. So automatically that's detected, and then, well, let's just show the content for now. Actually, let's change that to title. All right, so if we say second, we get real time, and that works. So searching is fine. What about sorting? We can sort by title, and then we can sort by state. We add that, and it's sorted. It also supports multi-column sorts, so that exists as well. And we currently have two types of posts, drafts and published. Let's add some scopes. We're going to say published, and it's going to take proc, says scope.where status published, and then we do the same thing for drafts. Okay, awesome. Now we have drafts, we have published, which does not contain anything. All right, so now we're unable to publish, so let's add a new action to do that. We're gonna come into blogging, go into interactions, blogging, and I'm just gonna create a new namespace here, blog interactions, and then I'm gonna say publish. Okay, so inside of here we're gonna define our modules, our class instead, and blog interactions, and then we're gonna say publish inherits from resource interaction, and for this we're gonna specify that it takes a object of type resource which must have a class of blog, and then we define our execute, and right now it does nothing. We're just going to say it does nothing. So we go back into our blog presenter, and here we're going to define a new interactive action. We call it publish. We give it a label of publish, specify the interaction class to use, then we specify what icon we want, and then we say we want the color green. Awesome. Let's run that, and whoops, we did not specify our publish in our policy. I've been waiting to say that for so long. So for now we're just gonna say publish returns true. Weird. Okay, once we refresh that, publish is shown now because it does nothing. All right, the main reason being we did not return our resource from here. So let's refresh that, try to publish again, and that's it. Does nothing. Again, work in progress. It does nothing right now, so we're just going to change the policy a little bit and say that it should only allow publish if the record state is equal to draft. Then in our publish we're going to say the resource is going to be updated, and then we're going to set the state to published, and if something happens we're going to merge the errors. So errors.merge resource.errors unless our update was successful. So let's try that again, publish, and now it's done. We go back to our blogs, we see that the publish button is here, click, come back, and there we go. All right, now that we have the custom action done, let's look at creating a comments resource. Our comment resource is going to be generated with Plutonium res scaffold, and then we're going to say comment, and we're going to say it belongs to a user, and we're gonna say blogging blog belongs to, and Plutonium has support for namespaces, so that's some cool stuff as well. And we're just gonna say content equals text. All right. We want to put this inside of blogging. We're gonna say Rails generate Plutonium resource connection, so that we connect this resource to the dashboard. So comment, and then our dashboard app takes that. All right. Let's migrate our DB. And there's us. Should get us started. Okay. Let's refresh that. We have our comments. You can create a new comment. Select the blog post that we want. This is a nice comment. Okay. Awesome. We can navigate to the blog post and see, but we do not see our associations here. So let's go back to our blog. Let's define the association as many comments, and then let's go to our blog policy and say that it should show the association comments. Okay, let's refresh that. We need to restart our server to get the routes to regenerate. And there we go. Now we have our sub resource here. One cool thing about this is standalone, it works, but you can come back here and have it as well. So we have our comment, we can edit it if we wanted, we can navigate back, we can go back home, we can refresh the page, and all of this works out of the box. So what if we wanted to be able to modify our comments as a nested attribute? So let's go back to our blog and then say accept nested attributes for comments, and we say reject if all blank. Now we support nested attributes for both, for all, has many, has one, and belongs to. So out of the box you can get access to that. So here we go. It's not gonna work straight away, so let's go back to our policy. Let's define that for creation, which would also affect updates, we want to include comments, but then we need to also define it in our presenter. So define nested input, and then we're going to say comments, and then define the inputs that it should give. So for this we're going to say user. We already have access to the blog, so we don't need that. And then we want content. If we wanted to customize these inputs, you could also do something like and then say I.define field input, just like you would define here. So that's supported as well. But right now, out of the box, we wanted to just determine what they are. And there we go. Voila. Comments, we can add more comments if we want, remove the ones that are here, and then we can create more comments. Awesome. What if we wanted to render markdown in here for this content? So currently this content says, let's get rid of this because it's a little bit ugly. So right now this is just text. We're not going to do input for, we're not going to do a custom input, but let's do a custom renderer. So let's first get a lorem Ugh, good lord. Okay, so let's copy a bit of this, put that in our blog. This is a comment. Save and view details. All right. Now, what we're going to do is we're going to do a Rails generate Plutonium field renderer. Fields are split into renders and inputs. So render, and we're going to call it markdown. Okay. And inside of our markdown renderer, we're going to change this to say div do actually and then class. We're going to give it pros. The new input has been mapped. Sorry, the new renderer has been registered on our factory, so we can come back and say something like blog presenter and say content and not input but renderer should use type markdown. Okay. If we come back here, it's really no change. If we inspect that and take a look at this, we notice that the pros is now set. So in order to make this a little bit richer, we can add red carpet. So what we're gonna see here is this is not the recommended way to use red carpet, but for the purposes of this demo, I'm going this route. So we're gonna create a new red carpet renderer, and then we're gonna render HTML, and then we're gonna say render value. So rendered, put that in there. We start our Rails server, come back here, refresh that, and now we have HTML rendering. So let's mark this as HTML safe. Actually, voila, still not looking too great. So let's integrate with the asset pipeline so that we can customize it. So have our new styles up here. We need to integrate with the Plutonium assets pipeline with the simple generator that should be set up for us. Inside of Tailwind typography, we would need this. Yes, please. So if we take a look at the changes that are happening, a bunch of dependencies are installed, Tailwind is configured, and our controllers are registered, and we tell Plutonium to use the application styles and scripts. So we add our Tailwind typography, and then we copy this in order to register our plugin. So here we have this, and now we can run bin dev so that the assets are compiled. And this time when we refresh, it should look much nicer than this. So let's switch to light mode and refresh this. Oh, voila! And there we have a custom renderer. Remember, we can do this for inputs, we can do this for different components, and they can be registered, and you can replace the various components that we have here if you want more customization. But hey, this brings me to the end of today's demo. There's a lot more to unpack, there's a lot more to show, but time is fast spent, and thank you very much if you got to the end of this video. If you're interested, come join me on GitHub and let's work on this together. So thank you very much and have a good one.